B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh Natzliach. This week's Parsha is ACHARIE MOT, and we wanted to talk about a little bit Pirkay Avot, because we are the first week after the holiday of Passover. We hope everybody had a wonderful and enjoyable Passover. This week's Parsha in chapter 18, passage 5, is actually one of the most important verses of the entire Torah. So it's very important that one becomes familiar with it. It says, "Ushmartem et chukotai bet mishpotai, asher ya'aseh ha'adam v'chai bahem." You should carry out, observe my commandments and my decrees, that a person that carries these commandments and follows the Torah out shall live by them. And the Nefesh HaChaim, the great Rav Chaim Volozhiner, brings out such a beautiful idea that a life that has no Torah in it is a life wasted, is a fake life, is a life that is pointless. So therefore, when we carry out the Torah on a Kabbalistic level, the Nefesh HaChaim, Rav Chaim Volozhiner, says, Adam hamekayem mitzvah chai betocha mamash. By doing a mitzvah, for example, tefillin, or putting up a mezuzah, kelomar mukaf b'kedushata. The mitzvah is not a simple action. We underestimate it so deeply that it's unbelievable. When we do a mitzvah according to the Zohar, according to the true meaning of the Torah, we become engulfed, immersed, and saturated in the holiness of God. And around you is like the Garden of Eden, especially if you do it with all your heart and all your soul. And this is really what the Zohar says, that in Parshat Yitro, chapter 5, Kol mitzvot HaTorah nechsad b'melech HaKadosh Elyon. Whenever we carry out the mitzvah, we become so connected in such a direct way that it's like we're holding on to God. And this is the famous song we sing from the Zohar, Yisrael ve'oraita v'kudsha b'richu chadhu. So the Torah is telling us here that don't believe that by carrying out the Torah is just some meager and simplistic thing. No. This is a direct connection between you and God. And this is actually, when you're doing the mitzvah, is when you're actually alive. See, there's many people, when I was learning in the Mir, my Rebbe, Reb Yaakov Moshe Katz, said this so beautifully. There's many people walking around on 2 feet, but the inside of them is dead because they are not in touch with their soul, which is the real thing that is alive. The body is going to be dirt and worms after we die. So the true life of a person, which those actions will be eternal, is when he does the Torah, because then he becomes Atem hadevekim ba'Adonai Elohechem chayim kol hayom. Only those that cling on to God are truly alive. How do we become clinging on and engulfed with the holiness of God? It's through the commandments. And really, the Chafetz Chaim goes a step further and says, people make such a fundamental mistake. They're so worried about the food they eat, sushi, and they eat the most expensive steak, but your soul also needs nourishment. And the nourishment of the soul is when we learn Torah, when we do the mitzvot. And this is what the Pirkay Avot says, Al shlosha dvarim ha'olam omed. On 3 pillars the world is standing. This is such a Kabbalistic idea. It's in the Talmud. It's in the most basic Mishnah, but it's saying that if the world doesn't have these 3 ingredients, the world will be destroyed. Because the world was created for us to have a relationship with God. 1 pillar is Torah, which Rav Ovadia says is the most important ingredient. That's why it's listed first on this list. Without Torah, there is no meaning to life. Our life is animalistic. Our life is just dust We come from dust and we will fall into dust. And there's no meaning and purpose. The next one is to serve God, specifically to pray with all our heart and soul. And the third one is to be kind to others. So may God help us to realize that each human being is a mini world. In our personal lives, if we want to get connected to God, every day has to have Torah study. Every day has to have 3 times a day. We need to pray to God. Shacharit, Mincha, and Arvit. And also we need to be kind. Then you are really alive. If you're not doing this every day, that day is wasted. And that day was fake. That day was a day of an animal, which has no significance. So may Hashem help us in these holy times of the Omer, that we be truly alive, we be truly connected to God, and it's only through the mitzvot that we become eternal and godly. Amen.